Do you want godly peaks like this? I'm Zapper, your favorite Immortal 3 yapper, and what if I told you the issue isn't how you're peaking, it's where you end up. By achieving god level peaks, you no longer have to worry about instantly getting one-tapped every time you start a fight. As a hard-stuck Immortal 3 player, I have desperately been searching for any solution I can find that will help me reach the coveted rank of Radiant. I stumbled upon a VOD of Jing going like 32 and 12 on Ascent the other day, and I really took a deep dive at what angles he was fighting. It was then that I noticed something funny. I swear to God, I've heard a million times to always peak with just A and D, use the T rule, make your peaks perpendicular to the angle, and have even been told to use the Pythagorean theorem for each peak I take. I too have preached things like this countless times, and while peaking in this way does maximize your movement speed, it doesn't always set you up for success. I'll come back to peaking in just a moment, but I think it's important we take a step back to gunfights as a whole. What determines the victor in a gunfight? As you can imagine, that's a super complicated question, and the answer is dependent on several different factors. You have utility, crosshair placement, movement, positioning, and even little details like whether or not the enemy is expecting the fight to occur in the first place. When looking at the bigger picture, a perfect peak isn't going to magically win you games. A perfect peak is really only effective when the conditions are perfect for the peak. If I know the enemy's exact location, for example, and they're just holding me statically, a perfect peak is gonna just completely obliterate them. On the other hand, if the enemy is holding from an off angle, I will likely lose the duel even if I peak quote unquote perfectly. So in a weird way, even in a game with peeker's advantage, good positioning outweighs a good peak. Or does it? I mean, I'm sure you found yourself holding from an off angle only for the enemy to peek you in the weirdest way imaginable and somehow by the grace of God come out on top. I don't think they won the fight because of luck though, or even because they peaked perfectly. I think they pulled off the weirdest peak imaginable because of their positioning, or in other words, the position their peak ended at set them up for success. Now I'm going to break down some clips from popular pro players just to showcase how important this is for you to implement. So right here, you might think he's in a horrible position because he's putting himself in a 2v1, but look at his position. As he's coming out of the smoke, because it's dropping, he is kind of in the middle of the open. I don't think anyone expects him to be here. He is pre-aiming the Astra. He's ready for someone to be sitting in B main. And so he gets the first one easily. Jet is now in a 50-50 because he wasn't pre-aiming him. It's already a 1v1, and now it's just whoever has better aim. Demon 1 was obviously popping off at this time. And he lands that as well.
He might be the best player in the world.
That's Durka's twin right there.
Oh.
He puts himself in the perfect position to catch the guy as he's peeking out of the angle. The dude is not even looking at him because he has to be worried about backside because Demon 1 was just over there. And so by taking this sliver of an angle right here, peeking it, tucking back into cover, he can take the fight when the dude's not even looking at him. He can fall back to cover, and then he can re-peek out when it's safe to do so. And just take a look at how the round ends, because he does it again.
Oh my God. He saw it.
Crashies is holding close. He thinks he's going to close peek him. Busio peeks out wide. He goes for the off angle, goes for the wide swing. Throws off the crosshair placement, just kills him instantly. He can't do anything about it. He just put himself in the better position, and of course he's going to win the fight. All right, now we got a clip from Artis. I'm going to play it for you just so you can see, maybe you can like get a feel for what I'm talking about here, because his peaks aren't like the fastest possible. It's really just about where he's placing himself on the map that allows him to get these frags. So just take a look at what I'm talking about, and then I'll break it down for you after.
He's going to creep up on the side. He wants the plant. He might actually get it as well. Okay, one goes in and gets the dip away. Does get marked though. Prowler, not a problem just yet. Another. No way! Oh my God, John! All right, so I'll break it down real quick. It's pretty simple. It's just like the last clip that I went through. But he's just putting himself in a good position, into positions that the enemy doesn't expect, and he has to use his peaks to do so. So let's take a look. Plants the bomb. Goes back in this corner. Prowler, not a problem.
He hears the updraft. He isolates the fight, peeks super close so that nobody else can see him. The Jet's not ready for a close peek. He probably expects him to peek wide or something. And then he knows that Mako is going to go for the trade on the right. So he wants to hold the fight, but he wants to go as close to the cover as possible to throw off crosshair placement. Mako's not going to be expecting him crouched in the corner with only half his head exposed from the wall. So another easy kill for him right here. Like, there's no way he expects him to be camping right here. Like, it's not a typical angle that people hold. And then he peeks out right away. He knows the Fade's going to go for another trade kill. But if Fade's expecting him to be deep in the corner, then he has a timing to push up. He landed the trap on him too, so he's not expecting for Artis to already be peeking him. So he peeks again. He can just peek out wide, and it's just another free kill. It's really all about using your movement to put yourself in a good spot. I have started implementing this into my gameplay as well, and I'm having stellar results so far.
The gecko has a fire.
One enemy remaining.
Gecko, you're so fucking
God.
smart.
-4. Has been dominated. One kill remaining. Ending. One enemy remaining.
Oh my. That's 1 HP. Reyna's in our spawn, probably wrapping. Reyna could be wrapping.
One enemy remaining.
Yep, yes.
My turn. One enemy remaining. Like I never left. Spike down mid. One enemy remaining. Gotcha, fun. My turn. Spike down mid. One enemy remaining.
What? There's a phantom down on my body.
Watch out, baby.
Last player standing.
I must wait a moment.
One enemy remaining.
No, bruh.
Attackers win.
In summary, while perfect peaks maximize your movement speed relative to the enemy, a useful peak must also take your positioning into consideration. If your peak places you into a bad position, it's going to be extremely easy for the enemy to punish your mistake. So I like to take into consideration where I want to be at the end of my peak. Usually I like to end up in an unexpected spot, and when implemented properly, you can easily throw off enemy crosshair placement, increase your time alive, and considerably increase your gunfight win rate. So next time before you take a gunfight, just make sure to think about where you want to be positioned, where the enemy's expecting you, and how, when you take your peek, can you put yourself into a better position than you already are in. If when you peek out you actually end up in a worse position, then maybe you shouldn't take the peek in the first place.
Last player standing. Spike down A.